Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where and when you're watching this video. My name is Denise Bellil, and I'm a serenity expert and positive intelligence specialist. I'm here today with Sartre Jean Gilles. Yes, Sartre, and he's a fitness coach and much more. Like I don't have my sheet in front of me. So what he does is a kinesiologist, personal trainer, fitness behavior change. So that's going to be interesting to talk about that. But before we go further about who he is, I want to introduce what the show is about and why I call it It's All Good. Lux who's here for a chat. Well, that says it all. I'm inviting people to chat with me every Monday at noon Pacific time, and you're welcome to show up anytime to experience my guests with me and pass comment, just ask question. We're always here to answer your question as we go. If the goes further and you watch it later, then you can still post your question and put comments, and then we can reply them later. If you're watching this on YouTube, then please make sure to subscribe, like, put a little bell on so that you're notified next time I have another video that's being posted. And one more reason why this is called It's All Good, it's because, oh, look at this. It's my favorite cup. It's all good. So that's super cool. And why is it's all good? Well, it's my way of living. It's my way of thinking. Whenever things happen to me, whether it's considering bad or even good, then what do I say? Say, hey, it's all good. Because if something happened 5 minutes ago, 5 seconds ago, even 5 years ago, guess what? I can't change it, and neither are you. So if you have things that happen to you, or if you do things that you're not happy about, well, you can't change it because it's the past. We can't, sorry to break it to you, but we can't change the past. So we have to move on and move forward and say, okay, what's the gift in that? And what did I learn from here? And how can I move forward with that experience and just experience it in a totally different ways? I invite you to think about that next time you have something that happened to you. And what about the future? Well, the future is the same. You can't really predict the future. You can get ready. You can do little, prevention, but the future is the future, and we cannot predict that either. So regardless of where you are in your life and what's happening, I highly recommend that you all say it's all good. And I'm so excited now. I'm going to bring my guest, Sartre Jean Gilles, and let's welcome him. Hello, Sartre.
Thank-
Welcome. I'm so
Thanks
happy
for
to have
having me.
you. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm happy to have you here with me. Sartre is kinesiologist, and I've worked with him for about 5 months, I think, on a regular basis. We were exchanging French lessons to workout sessions, so I think that
Yes.
was pretty good. So we were talking French, and then he was practicing his French, and I was getting a workout, which was perfect deal. And since now he became so good at French, well, I lost my trainer, but that's okay. He's still very good at what he does. No, we were both too busy to continue on. And I'm looking forward to hear all about the good things that you've been up to, since the last 6 to 8 months, because that's about the time that we didn't see each other weekly. So
Mhm.
please introduce yourself quickly and tell us a little bit your the path that you took to become who you are today.
Thank you so much, Denise. I'm
You're
Sartre
welcome.
Jean Gilles, and yes, I'm currently an online fitness business owner. I That entails me being a fitness behavior change coach. That's my newest addition to my service, my offers. I'm also a personal trainer through the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology, the gold standard of personal training in Canada, which requires you to have uh, an undergrad or some university, at least 2 years of exercise sciences.
Hmm.
And then I am also a certified kinesiologist here in the province of Alberta. So for me, my road was, I became interested in sports. I wasn't the most athletic kid in when I was younger. I was athletic enough, but I wasn't one of the kids who excelled. Um, and that kind of lit a fire under me when I was probably maybe around 13 or so. And started playing basketball, started playing baseball. And when I went to university, I graduated with a honors degree, Bachelor's of Science from the University of Ottawa in Human Kinetics, which is another word for kinesiology.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, that was a great experience. Got to do some pretty cool research. You can find me on the internet. I'm kind of an author for some reason. I don't know why, but
Nice.
it gave me that, which was cool. And yeah, so I worked in a physio clinic and helped a lot of people, and that really got me interested in helping the everyday person. Not so much sports per se, but more everyday people and practical, pragmatic ways that we can stay fit and prevent injuries and whatnot. I actually ended up taking a hiatus. Went to Japan, taught English for 3 years, came back, and then I obtained my a master's in healthcare administration, giving me a nice overarching view of what's going on in Canada in terms of healthcare and health
Mm-hmm.
delivery. Just a great experience. I was also at the time in Vancouver. I was working for what's called the Lifeline service through Providence Healthcare, which is under Vancouver Coastal Health, and so that's the service for seniors, the medical alarm service. So I was able to apply a lot of my training in terms of biomechanics and whatnot, and in terms of helping people for fall prevention. I did that for 5 years. Came back to Calgary, where I live, and um, I was keeping abreast. I was certifying and volunteering at ARBI, which is the Association for the Rehabilitation of the Brain Injured, as a rehab assistant. And but I was working as a program manager for a health and social welfare program. It's called Feed the Hungry. We would feed about 500 people every Sunday. I did that for 6 years. That was a great experience. But then
Oh,
I
wow.
I had the itch um, to come back, and if you've ever read The Big Leap, do I have that book here? Here's the book, The Big Leap. It talks about your zone of incompetence, your zone of competence, and your zone of excellence and your zone of genius. Don't feel like I was in my zone of genius when I was working in that job. I think I was in my zone of
Uh-huh.
excellence. Um, so I was always thinking about coming back into this field and and seeing what I could do. I was also very interested in online personal training, and that was about 2018. And then because of COVID, I got my pink slip, and that was a great opportunity. It was a great experience helping those people. That are individuals experiencing marginalization and doing that job. But that was a great opportunity for me to start my online business, which I did. And I was already a personal trainer and kinesiologist. And in between that, from when I started to now, I did what's an internship within my business. It's called the
Uh-huh.
Institute of Fitness Behavior Change out of London, UK. Shout out to Tim, the founder, and everybody else there. Changed my perspective. Um, and so, yes, I obtained my certification as a fitness behavior change coach. And lo and behold, you know, um, when I'm receiving emails, for example, from the Alberta Kinesiology Association, my
Yeah.
professional emails, my monthly emails, and whatnot, and even from the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology, that's the big thing the past year and a half is habit changing and behavior change,
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah.
So that's creeping into the fitness, the higher level fitness,
Oh,
university level.
nice. Nice.
So,
So
yeah.
tell me, what's a behavior change coach?
Yes. So a behavior change coach, I mean, I could tell you Tim's story. So what happened with him, the founder of this institute, he was a personal trainer,
Uh-huh.
and he would have people show up, and you get this a lot. People show up, they might not do their homework, because you should be strength training at least twice a week, for example. And you should be doing at least 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise. So he wasn't his clients might not have been getting the amount of exercise that you should be getting as a baseline. Showing up to the training, not motivated, at least motivated enough to show up. And then once he just sat them down and then started to coach them instead of train them. So rather
Mm-hmm.
than teaching them, giving them fish, teaching them how to fish. Um, and he extrapolated, and what we have now is this amazing 12 week blueprint that, me and my contemporaries, we can adjust it to our liking within our own businesses. But it gives you a nice framework, coaching tools, to help, essentially to help the individual find their why. Why is it important for them to make the changes in terms of fitness and nutrition and mindset, of course, and other habits, sleep, for example. Why is it important for them? That's the essential nugget of it all.
I think it makes a big difference when people are like showing up for a workout and doing whatever the coach tells you, or knowing why you show up to a workout, and then the coach helps you do what you have to do, right?
Mhm.
Because once you know why, then you're a lot more anchored into what you want to do. You have a little bit more skin in the game when you're able to determine why you want to get in shape. Why do you want to have, more exercise? Why are you hiring a coach? What are
Mhm.
your goals? And I think it makes a huge difference. Did you find that since you've done that program into your clients, the difference that it gives them?
Absolutely. I mean, I have two examples. One former client, she's a former personal training client. I've pinned her in my LinkedIn as one of the top pins for the posts or whatever, so people can go to my LinkedIn and check it out. And I put it out there on Facebook and whatnot. So we have this little 45-minute clip, 45-second clip, 45-second clip. And she basically says, like, I've been having, and she's not overweight. She's not even, but it's not just for people who are quote unquote overweight, right? You have the habits, because if you don't have the habits, even if you're in, if even if you eye test look okay, you can still have a lot of comorbidities that can happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For
And
sure, for
so,
sure.
yeah, and so she found her why. And it really, really tied into like her future and what she's planning on doing. So for her, it was great. Another client of mine, but she was more, what's the word? So we have objective based goals, and then we have behavior based goals, or
Okay.
like procedural based goals is another way to term it. For this individual, it was more procedural based. It was less about losing X pounds. It was about, let's get some quality habits in, by the end of these 12 weeks. For
Mm-hmm.
another client of mine, I mean, it's always a bit of both, but for another client of mine, we're kind of looking at, I mean, his goal was to lose, we were 12 pounds in 3 months. Well, he's lost 14 and a half pounds in 1 month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about behavior changes.
Yeah. Just like, start biking to the gym, to the Y, start, cut out the snacks in between your three
Yeah, it
meals.
makes a big difference when you add it all together.
Yeah, it's snowball effect. Stop drinking your calories. That's a big one. I mean,
Yeah.
we're getting to the
Yeah.
minutia, but yeah. So it depends on the types of goal setting. Like we do both with the client on like the first or second week, but um, it depends on the client. They might look at it. They might focus in on more on their objective based goals. Some clients might focus in more on their behavior procedural based goals. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So tell me about your like how your 12-week fitness behavior change can help people, and how is it structured?
Yes. So, I mean, that's one of the first things we do is that, and there's different coaching tools almost every other week. I think there's a bit more in the first few weeks, but there's about 7 or so coaching tools that we do. And if there's time, I love to do it with my clients, during the 1 hour meetings that we have. We have a
Hmm.
1 hour weekly meeting. And so those coaching tools are those are huge. It helps the individual, finding their values, self-identifying. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Like, where do you see yourself in the future? Um, Tackling limiting beliefs. And so over the course of those those 12 weeks, those coaching tools stack on top of each other and really start to reinforce. You said anchor, I say adhere, same thing. Stick.
Yeah.
Um, and also, I mean, we also have, of course, it depends on the client. Like, if they don't want to check in with looking at the scale, that's fine. You don't have to. That's there for you if you want. Everything is on an app. Like, I have an app that's all structured for them and everything. Everything's there for them.
Oh, nice.
If you want to do your measurements, like your tape measurements, that's fine. That's actually probably more accurate for a lot of people than just looking at weight and height and BMI per
Yeah.
se.
Yeah.
If you're very muscular, for example, you're going to be like LeBron James is overweight. Look at him. He's a specimen, but technically he's overweight, right?
Because of the BMI.
Because of the BMI.
Yeah, BMI is not. It's anyway. I don't really like it either. I don't think it's an accurate measure of someone's fitness.
No, it has to be tied in with at least waist circumference. Waist circumference is, I mean, I remember a few years ago, I was really light. I was like 153 pounds at one point. I'm 5'9". And technically, that's still on the high end of normal for BMI. If you look at it, it's in the normal range, but it's on the higher end slightly.
Yeah.
But my waist circumference was, if you have a 0.45 to a 0.55 waist to height ratio.
Okay.
Right. If you're at the 0.45, after 0.45, it's unhealthy. So I was at 0.46. I was right at the bottom of waist to height. But
so how does that work? Can you elaborate on that number, because I never heard of that before?
So you just measure.
So you take your height in inches or in inches?
Yeah, centimeters or inches. So you divide your total centimeters around your waist, usually right above the belly button.
So let's say you measure, I don't know, 72 inches, right? And your waist is 32.
Yeah, so 32 divided by 72. 0.44. So that would be a slightly underweight individual in terms of waist to height ratio.
Yeah.
Underweight.
And where do you measure it? And where do you measure it? At the belly button? Where do you measure it?
Right above.
Like an inch above the belly button, kind of?
Yeah, just about there, yeah. And
I never heard of that before. So
yeah.
So can you say the numbers again? Which one are the
healthy
norm?
range is, the healthy range is 0.45 to 0.55.
Okay, 0.45 to 0.55.
So 0.5, let's say, is right at the middle. So if your waist circumference is half of your height, then you're good to go.
Oh, interesting.
Because we're humans, so we have to have some type of.
Yeah, of course.
Right, but again, if you're like dense muscle, if you've been swimming, lifting weights since you were like 16, you're gonna be really muscular. Like,
of course.
What's his name? Tom Cruise is like 200 pounds. He's 5'7".
Muscle are heavy.
Yeah, muscle is very heavy. It sinks, right?
Yeah.
So, you have to take, and then you have to also look at, performance. What's your, you can do your VO2, or you can just look at your performance. How are you doing in the gym? How are you doing in terms of running and stuff? And then, of course, your blood work. It's a cocktail. It's not just, and then the eye test, look in the mirror.
It's not just one thing, right? Because people can be skinny in the outside, but fat in the inside.
Yeah.
Right. Your organs can be fat. You can have a fatty liver. You can have, fat around your organs that is even more dangerous than being fat in the outside, right?
Exactly. And that's called android obesity. So
like
android
the phone?
Yes. So android as in male, as opposed to gynoid, because gynoid is more the pear-shaped obesity.
Okay.
While android is more the top-heavy obesity, which you also see in women nowadays too. I'm not sure if it's because of hormones in like certain types of foods, certain types of meats. And of course, the android obesity, this is why, in part, why men don't live as long, is because we store our fat because we had to go out hunting for hundreds, tens of thousands of years, right? it's easier to be mobile if you don't have fat around your legs. So that's why
Yeah.
we evolved to put fat around our midsection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very important to keep that in mind. There's those types of
And do you do anything about measuring people for, like, is how can people find out if they have fatty organs as opposed to like, is it anything that can be measured? Or do you know anything about that, or they should call our friend, what's her name, Melissa?
Melissa, yeah. Yeah, I think she would help with in terms of blood work. And then of course your blood work from your doctor, and then getting a scan. If that's something,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if your liver, especially your liver, if your liver's acting up, it's probably going to show up in a
In the
pretty
blood
conventional
work.
scan, blood work rather. And
Mm-hmm.
then you get I actually had mine done for my liver 10, 20 years ago. Yeah, I had that done. So yeah, I mean, your blood work would tell you
Mm-hmm.
most likely.
So how can people, like, what would be the benefit to actually, like, working with you? What can people expect when they engage themselves into working with that 12 weeks program? And so, okay, why should I do that as opposed to just go to the gym and work out?
Well, there's levels to this. The first level is I will empower myself with my coach, me, um, to get the skills I need, to get the motivation I need, to find the reason and purpose I need. Two, once you find out that purpose, it's going to be a lot easier for you to take care of yourself. You're
Yeah.
gonna, it's so there's that level on. I mean, a lot of people might, and then maybe they want training. Maybe it depends on their lifestyle, right? Maybe they want training from me. Maybe they want to go to the gym after that. But there's another level, and I was alluding to it with my first client, whose video you can see on my LinkedIn profile. She, like, people like that, and anyone really, it's going to help you because of these coaching tools. It's going to help you in other areas of your life. This is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Like, it's helping people on another level, and we just happen to be fitness coaches. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's amazing, these coaching tools, because it's just transfers. It's just all this is the behavior changes is a microcosm. We're just using fitness as the microcosm, and then you'll be able to translate all of these skills that you've learned in 12 weeks. You'll be able to transfer it to other areas of your life. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you ever had people bringing their cell phone or their tablet to the gym and then working out with you from a gym?
Yes. Yeah.
Some people,
Yeah. Well, I don't have people who are using the machines or the dumbbells, but I've had people doing body weights in the open area with me, and that's a great segue. Because all I recommend, like my favorite, my most important, I'm just gonna lift this up quickly. Is you see that mat behind me?
yes, yes,
The duct
yes.
tape.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that is the most important piece of equipment that anybody needs in their house. Is a nice thick mat. Um, you can do everything. You can work out your entire body with in terms of strength training with just the floor. And
Yeah,
then I would say maybe a chin-up bar. Or these little or something like that. Those two little, they look like bicycle locks.
yeah.
When you lock a bike, those two inverted U's. Something like that for pulling. Besides that, you don't need much else. You know.
Because
Um,
our body can create their own strength too, right?
oh yes. So there's two types of movement. There's the closed chain, and there's the open chain. And we say in biomechanics, closed chain is when the far end of your limbs is fixed, either to the floor or to the bar. It's not
Okay.
moving, but you're moving your center of mass. So closed chain movements, as opposed to open chain, when you grab a barbell or a dumbbell and you do curls or something, or you do overhead press or something. Um, Closed chain movements, when you move your center of mass, is you're gonna stimulate your body to be strong, but at a compact but a more compact body. So think of like Marines. But if you do more open chain, you're gonna have the more bulging muscles because your body's like, oh, I don't have to move myself. Let's get huge.
Mm.
So then you're doing bench press, that's open chain. You're doing, so obviously I think a mix, but if I had to pick, probably pick close chain. I mean, you can do it at home. It's cheap.
That's
Uh,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I think some people, I think I gear more towards that end than the other. Some people prefer to go to the gym as a motivator, right?
yeah,
Because if you're at home, like you have so many other things that could happen that deter you from doing your gym workout,
yeah.
like to work out. So by heading out to the gym while you're there to work out, so then you end up doing workout, right?
Healthy competition. There's a huge brotherhood or sisterhood in the gym. People
Mm.
they're great with. If you're a beginner, go to the biggest guy in the gym. He can't wait to tell you what to do. He's just waiting to help. Like, go to the
That's
biggest guy.
amazing.
He will be like, I can't wait to tell you everything. And he's just gonna be, typically. They're really great.
If
So
he brush you off, go to the second bigger one.
yeah, go to the second biggest guy. But yeah, but for a lot of people like us, if you're working from home, if you're an entrepreneur, this is a great option to work out at home,
For
get a few
sure.
things, and then maybe have the option and see what works best with you. Buy a ticket of 10 and go to your local community gym, see if that works for you.
Yeah.
Maybe bike to the gym, and then but yeah, just having options, I think, is especially nowadays, is just crucial for people.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And so when you say earlier, you mentioned about, you have within the first or second session, like people are there and they're setting goals, they're getting themselves
Mhm.
ready to move on to the 12 weeks. What type of goal do people usually set? Like, do
Yeah.
they like, what do they talk about? What do they do?
Like it's probably like the more objective based goals is usually I want to lose 10 to 12 pounds or something like that. Because
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't sound like a lot, but a pound a week is what you could expect for a
Yeah.
normal sized person. That's 12 weeks. So there you go.
Yeah.
And then the more procedural based goals is I want to fit in my jeans. I want to, I want to be,
I don't want
or
to be out of breath going up the stairs or.
yeah, things like that. I want to be working out X amount of times per week for X
Mm-hmm.
amount of minutes. So those are more procedural based goals. Yeah. So we set that early on, and then they have that in their mind, and it helps them to adhere to the rest of the program. And then we start, we have those coaching tools along the way, have a nice conversation. We also set goals throughout at the end of each conversation, at the end of each session. I like to
Okay.
set 2 or 3 goals. So you're setting about 30 goals throughout the 12 weeks, 2 to 3 goals a week. We stack them on top of each other. So we like to start slow. We have the slow phase, like the diagnostic phase, and then we have the implement, which is the first 3 weeks. Just taking pictures of your meals, for example. Don't count calories yet. You know the analogy of the um, what's the bucket? You fill the bucket, put in the rocks first, you put in the big rocks first, then you put in the pebbles, then you put in the sand, and it will fill properly. So that's the analogy I like to give to people. I mean, just take pictures of your meals, for a few days each week, and then we'll look at your lunches one week, things like that, and then we'll start to accelerate the program. If you want, you can count calories, but again, you're not going to do it for the rest of your life. This is just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on,
Yeah. To
and then you
know, like to have an idea, right? Like if you have toast and peanut butter, well, so it's just toast and peanut butter. But if you put that much peanut butter on your toast and then, put butter and peanut butter and jam, and it end up being like a heavy breakfast in a sense of calorie, right?
yeah, exactly.
Like bread and the fat and all of that. Like it's all a question of understanding what's going on in there.
Exactly. Um, So yeah, that's an option to them to learn about calories. If they don't, then um, some people, it's you look at I mean you look at a lot of people in a lot of countries, they they can just do it by eyeballing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, look at Japan. They got 5% obesity. They have vending machines every corner of the country on the side of the road where you can get chips and drinks. But why are people so thin? Because they're walking everywhere and they adhere 95% of the time to their three meals with their three little bowls, you know? And they're not counting calories. And they're a
Mm-hmm.
developed nation. So if a developed nation can be doing so well, it's about the consistency. So you don't need to count calories at the end of the day. But it's a good tool to have. It's good to learn about the concept.
Yeah, just to understand, like what I found for myself, and I don't do diet also neither when I do my help my clients, but I can guide them. Like I'm not a dietitian, but I can guide them towards eating the right food, and it's understanding the labels, right? Like if
Yes.
you don't have to count calorie, but if you look at the labels and you understand what you're eating, well, what I tell my clients too is like it's better to eat something that has no label.
No, there you go. That's
Right.
usually on the contour of the perimeter of
Yeah,
the
the
store.
grocery store, right? Like, I mean, milk is milk. I don't drink milk, but I don't recommend it either. But for example, like, if you eat like fruit and vegetable, well,
Oh,
it's fruit, vegetable, nuts, and seed. If you add a lot of that into your diet, then it's just fruit, vegetable, nuts, and seed. There's no label to eat. You don't eat processed food and all the additive that they put in the food so that it looks good, and then it's smells good and the color is good, and it's
mhm.
natural, right? So the ideal diet is to eat fresh vegetable and fruit or whatever, right?
Yeah, Whole Foods. Half the plate is usually wet, soluble starch. Quarter of the plate is your dry starch, your insoluble, so insoluble to water, so your grains and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then a quarter of the plate is your protein source. That's on
Mm-hmm.
a 9-inch plate. I call it. I've been calling it, so nobody steal my idea. I'm calling it the 1945 diet because I
See.
say that because in 1945 is when big, big big farms and the machine didn't really get going yet. And people knew exactly what to eat because they were unfortunately paranoid after the war, so they knew exactly how to ration food
Yeah.
on a 9-inch plate. That much, what I just said. It was
Yeah.
like, that's it. One plate, no snacking in between, no drinking your calories, maybe 8 ounces of milk
Yeah.
at most. And then that's it. And everybody was thin. They didn't count their calories.
Yeah, and at that time there was no, Kentucky fried chicken and church chicken and McDonald's
Yeah.
and Harvey's, and people were not eating that much of processed and junk food either, right?
Yeah. And
They
you
were
can, I
eating a
mean,
lot from the garden and from the market.
yeah. Um, yeah, and it takes a toll. I would imagine, eating processed foods. I mean, it takes a toll on I think it would take a toll on your basal metabolism. Basal meaning when you're just kind of sitting around,
Mm-hmm.
I think it has a toll on it. Um, and so, yeah, people, if you just focus on that, and again, let's keep in mind that the word diet, technically, it's not a diet if you're doing it for the rest of your life, because a diet is
Exactly.
actually what,
It's a
temporary.
lifestyle.
It's a
Yes.
lifestyle. Something that's
Just like
sustainable.
working out,
Yeah.
if it becomes a lifestyle, when you set up your goal. And for me, my goal would be to, if I was to set a goal, it's like, okay, like working out in the morning, it's part of my routine. It's not I have to work out. No, it's like I have to sleep. Yeah, of course you have to sleep, but working out is just like sleeping. It's just
Mhm.
part of the day.
Yeah. It's
It's like I
hygiene,
have to eat. Yeah, exactly.
exercise hygiene, let's say.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, keep it if you
Yeah, I
you
think
focus on
physical
that,
fitness is just as important as mental fitness, and it all goes together, right?
they all go together. And so this is kind of hacking the mental. which will have a positive feedback loop on each other, hopefully, like you're saying.
Wonderful. So do you have any, how can people reach you, first of all? Like, how can people be in touch with you? I think you share with me your email, so I can share your email with people. I can put it in the comment and in the show
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah. I'm not sure if did I give you the simple one? sjg@sjgfit.com. That's the
Yeah.
easy one.
Yeah. Perfect. And then you have a gift for people that would like to have maybe a coaching session?
Absolutely. Anybody who wants to reach out will get a free coaching session with me.
And
Just want
mention you saw the video with Denise,
Yeah. And you can get a free hour of training, and then we can talk more. So there's that for sure. And if you need any resources about portion sizes or exercise, reach out because I've got tons
Just
of
send an
PDFs.
email. Yeah. That'd be great. Well, it was an amazing conversation because I adore you. I think you're amazing,
Thank you.
kinesiologist and trainer. I really had a great time when we were working out together. And he's very, like, I have to vow for him, he's very attentive to your need, in a sense that it's not like he gives you something to do and he doesn't care. He doesn't look at the progress or how you feel. Like, you have to match where you're at, and he's going to adjust it and make your work a bit harder if it looks too easy, or tone it down if you see that you're like dying on the floor. So it's a good balance between the two, and I think you're very good. So take his word for, at least trying out a session. I think you won't regret it. And you work with men and women.
Yes, I do. I've worked the past few years. I've ended up working more with women, so I've kind of focused on them. But men reach out. Like one of my dudes, he's crushing it right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I work with both.
Yeah. I think because if I can mention, like, because you do a lot of networking events, you do a lot of networking. And I know from experience, because we are often in the same group, there's a lot of women in these groups. So that's why you would be attracting more women, because this is the crowd you hang out with.
Yeah.
And, when you have a guy that say, hey, I can give you a lesson, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's been great. And they've been really, like, you got to say that women are probably a little more attentive in terms of thinking about their health in different ways. So
Mhm.
I think there might be an affinity there, but at the end of the day, I think men are starting to wake up too. So
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy you were here. Just stay there. I'll be right back with you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of It's All Good, Lucas here for a chat. Next week is a very special episode, so I'll be busy this week getting it ready because it's my 1-year anniversary. So I hope you will tune in and come to the session next week, and we'll see who'll be there. There'll be a surprise. And to celebrate my 1st-year anniversary of doing the It's All Good, Lucas here for a chat. So I'm really excited to have you back next week and be around with me in this episode. So until next time, be kind to one another and enjoy the day. Goodbye.